surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. I am very pleased to introduce you to Lana Sackwild, a one-of-a-kind lucid dreaming and lucid living transpersonal life coach with a master's of science in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. Let me tell you a little bit about her work. Lana is a British lucid dreaming and lucid living coach and scientific researcher currently residing in Boulder, Colorado. She's interested in analyzing what it is about the conscious states of mind that individuals access during their lucid dreams, which have such transpersonal, healing, and empowering properties. Her current research is focused on lucid dreaming for mitigating depression, alleviating anxiety, and its uses as a follow-up treatment in the mental health field. If you are someone who is feeling lost, stuck, or without meaning, purpose, or control in your life, Lana will guide you to lucidity, action, and achievement. Welcome, Lana, and thank you so much for appearing on the Quantum Guide Show. I found you on the Universal Consciousness Show, and I said, wow, I've got to have you on my show.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm so excited and happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy. Would it be okay, Lana, if we just went over a few of the terms, just so the listeners are more familiar with the concept of lucid living? And so the first term I was wondering if you would give a bit of a quick description is lucid dreaming. What does that mean?
Sure, yeah. There's lots of different levels of lucid dreaming, but a more general description of it, or a simple description of it, is simply when you're conscious and you're aware that you're dreaming when you're inside the dream. So that's achieving lucidity. And a lot of people, when they lucid dream and they get lucid, they realize they're in the dream space. They want to do some kind of task or ask some questions, connect maybe with the subconscious or unconscious, or even just have a bit of fun, go for a fly around or take themselves to a beach. That's essentially what lucid dreaming is.
Actually, since seeing your show on the Universal Consciousness Show, I've been practicing and taking more, I guess, risks and stuff with lucid dreaming and just experimenting and going, okay, I am going to have the best day ever. I'm going to be so happy today. I can't believe it. And it's so easy to sort of slip that in there. And then I get these great results. So, just so happy that I found you. And so that's lucid dreaming. Now, what would lucid living look like?
So lucid living is when you are kind of integrating that lucid dream work back into your waking life. So for people who maybe are using lucid dreaming because they're having a problem in their life or they're struggling with something, like a great example would be, social phobia or social anxiety. That's something that so many people struggle with, or making connections. So perhaps in the lucid dream space, while they're in this kind of safe virtual bubble within their dream, they might not have the same fears they do as when they're awake. So they might be able to do tasks like just starting up a conversation with someone, or making connections with different dream characters, talking, working on kind of self-exploration. And then once they feel comfortable at that place, they'll start integrating that back into their waking life. And so I guess the idea of lucid living is, once you've done that healing, once you're feeling more empowered, once you're feeling more connected, is that integration process where you can really appreciate the beauty in your waking life, and you can start feeling that empowered state, or reaching that state of, I guess some people call it like enlightenment in your waking life. And that's what we kind of describe as living lucidly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great concept. This is really cutting edge work that you're doing, and it's so exciting to be aware of it. So the last thing I wanted to just, for terms, is I was wondering, what do you think would be considered an altered state of consciousness?
Good question. I think an altered state can come in like many different forms. I would say that the lucid dream state is an altered state. I would say that, using psychedelics or anything like that, you're entering an altered state. I really like the description a lot of people use for altered states by describing it like changing the channel on the TV. So it's you're the same person, same TV, but you're kind of switching channels. So something is shifting, your state of consciousness is shifting slightly, and you're able to kind of tap into something different, tune into a different type of consciousness. And that is, I guess, the easiest way to describe an altered state, but really it's more of a, personal experience. Yeah.
For me, in my experience, it feels a lot like changing the receiver wavelength of my brain so that I'm getting alternate messages that can come to me. And so for me, it's like just in my mind and in my imagination, picturing myself, and I'm not even convinced that all of our processing takes place even in the head. It could be happening right all around us. But by changing the receiver wavelength, I get a very different perspective. I'm able to access my non-corporeal guides. And I just wondered if, so that would be probably an altered state of consciousness too, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I love that description of like the wavelength changing and that, because I'm not entirely on the ball of that, consciousness is simply the connection with the brain, or that it's going on in our head. I think it's something much bigger than that. So I would definitely agree with what you said there.
Totally. And so how can these practices help folks with mental health issues like depression and anxiety? And we're all dealing with depression and anxiety. So a lot of the people that are watching the show are newly awakened people, and I'm sure they're looking for some ideas on how lucid living and lucid dreaming might help them with depression and anxiety.
Yeah, I think for a lot of beginners who get into lucid dreaming, it is because of dealing with mental health issues, and especially in this day and age where there's so many, antidepressants and prescription drugs, the opioid crisis and all these things, people are now waking up to the fact that, maybe medication isn't the only answer. Maybe there are other more holistic and mindful ways to really work on yourself. And I think with lucid dreaming, because your dreams are containing all of this unconscious and subconscious information, you're really tapping into your inner world, your inner thoughts, looking at thought patterns and everything like that. It's a great place for self-exploration, whether that's talking with yourself or exploring some emotions that you're feeling, or rewiring thoughts. You can kind of converse with different parts of the self a lot. And I think that's where a lot of people begin, just simply with curiosity and this, urge for more discovery, and connecting, with the self, with others, and just exploring that. So I guess, for a lot of people who suffer with anxiety, suffer with depression, going to a therapist is definitely very helpful, but it's a very long procedure. I know plenty of people, I'm sure you're the same, who've been with a therapist for like 10 plus years. And sometimes, talking through something is great, thinking about something is great, but I think lucid dream work really brings in the taking action, taking steps to really start making these changes in our lives. So that's
like personal responsibility component to our wellness.
Yeah, definitely. That's so powerful.
Yeah, I wanted to say also, I have to tell you, I'm almost 64 years old, and I've had an awakened life. So I've had a lot of depression, anxiety, just from being an observer in this reality. And I spent years doing all the pharmaceutical stuff. And it just it didn't cause me to get better. It just turned the dial down on everything. And in my opinion, I'm a bit of a radical thinker. To me, it's a sort of a chemical lobotomizing. And I didn't want to lose parts of myself in order to not feel the pain. I also want to say something about therapists. Going to see counselors, psychiatrists, that kind of thing. If it does it for people, I think that's great. But in my case, what happens is they can't meet me where I'm at because they're not awakened beings. And so they're pathologizing from the DSM-4, the DSM-5, or God knows we might be up to the DSM-8, which gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't behoove me. And I'll just give you a really quick example. I wanted to go and work on some issues at mental health the last time I tried mental health. And they wanted me to go into group therapy to talk about it. And I went, no, I can't, because it's not real. And they said, well, what do you mean it's not real? And I said, because my mind has created an illusion that was based on some experiences in the past. And every time I look at it, I'm taking it out, I'm corrupting it in the wrong way. And I'm putting it back. And by the time I get into group therapy, why would I want to feed that thing that's not even real?
Right.
So that takes us back into, again, lucidity. And what if the counselors and the psychiatrists aren't themselves lucid? They'll just pathologize the perfectly healthy steps we're taking to achieve wellness within ourselves. I'm a bit opinionated and a bit of a radical thinker on that. I'm wondering if we could sort of dovetail into the issue of psychedelics and lucid practices, because I know we can't diagnose or prescribe, and we wouldn't, but we are talking about our own personal experiences here, and I would like to hear what you have to say about psychedelics.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, and we've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I guess I'm talking about psychedelics being researched now for mental health issues, and we're seeing great results. People saying that, these are the most profound experiences of their lives, helping people even with end-of-life care, or helping people with relationship issues. And it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, being able to tap into these altered states and receive messages, receive insight, and be guided And it's part of your own journey. It's part of doing that inner work yourself, which I think is what you're touching on with talking about how, you know, diagnosis and these kind of things only get us so far. And I completely understand how some people, they want a diagnosis, they want to know what's going on. It's like, then where do you go from there? How do you start working through these things? How do you process these things and explore them? And I think psychedelics is a great way to start exploring. And I know you recently had some psychedelic experiences of your own.
Yeah, so here I am, 63 years old, and I've decided I was stuck. And I had tried to get some help, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, all the mental health professionals I approached did not have a context for me. And I knew it wouldn't be in my best interest to go. And I'm not saying people shouldn't go. I'm just saying this is how it was for me. And so I said to someone I know and love and trust, I said, you know, I'd like to try psychedelics. I'd like to try it. What can you help me find? Because it's not always easy to find psychedelics. And then the other thing we got to be careful of is that they're, you know, in my opinion, closest to the all natural whole plant psychedelics is to me much better than using something that's been refined or done in a lab. But anyway, I at the first time I tried it, I tried LSD because that was the only psychedelic I could find, and because it was my first time, I was scared, so I took one hit and I waited, and I had someone stay with me. I'm a firm believer in until you're really good at knowing yourself and knowing how things are going to go with your psychedelics, to have someone that's there who's sober, who is sane and rational, and someone who's going to make sure that you're reassured, you know, if need be.
Yeah.
All old stories about people jumping out windows, I don't see how that's possible based on my own experience, but you never know. So having someone there seems good. So anyway, I had someone with me, and I didn't hallucinate at all. I expected to see, you know, paisley and flashes and all this stuff, and I had none of that. But I was acutely aware of everything that was going on in my physical body. And before that, because I have trauma issues, I have been, one of my big challenges is to stay connected to the feelings and the sensations within my own body. Well, that was really shocked me at how much I had been cut off from the sensations in my own body. And those sensations are there to help me, to let me know when something's not good for me, or when something's really good for me, or what path to take, or all of that information I wasn't getting. And so later on in the day, I did a second hit of LSD, because I thought, well, you know, I should be hallucinating or something. I don't know if it's working. And what happened was very interesting. I was alone in my own head. So there was no tapes and old stories and irrational thoughts and the things that we're not even aware of that we repeat every day that are fairly self-defeating. That was all gone, and it was just crystal clear in my own head. And I went, wow, well, I'm here. What's my message? And the message I got was just very simple and very clean. And it was, follow the path of love. It's the only thing that's real. Everything else is an illusion. So every choice I make, feel my feelings and go, is this something that makes me feel, draws me in that warm, fuzzy love kind of vibe? Or is this something that's kind of not giving me a bit of a no feeling, or maybe a huge no feeling, or maybe a confusion or something like that? Well, then it's not real. Don't follow that. And so since that experience, I've been able to make decisions based on the love principle that I now understand, and I'm now connected. So this is the other really cool thing. The stuff that gets fixed during an experience like that is fixed. It's fixed forever. Yeah. It's not like you have to keep going back. No. And I want to just throw out one other thing is I get really sick when I do hallucinogens, really sick. It's a huge, powerful detoxification.
Yeah.
And I get so sick that I'm not wanting to run out and do it all the time. In fact, I don't want to do it unless I have a specific issue that I need to deal with. There's no way I'm going to do it as a recreational drug. I'll tell you that right now. But the effect was profound. Anyway, I'll be quiet and let you talk. That's just one of 3 of my amazing experiences. And afterwards, I felt calm and I felt grounded and I felt centered for weeks. It was amazing.
That does sound amazing. I love that, message of following that, deep sensation of love and truth. And I totally agree with you. I think that it is really important, especially if it's something you're doing for the first time, to have a trip sitter, to be in the right setting, setting and get yourself in the right place to do that. And I think, like, the same with everything, it's all about balance, isn't it? So it's, for some people, it might be great to start with something small, like micro doses, and work your way up to macro dose trip. I know that, you're mentioning, people jumping out of windows and all that stuff. And to me, that's really sad that that's what the main focus has been on up until now. And I think that those people, are unfortunately people that are in a bad way. And so they're abusing substances. If you go in and take, 5 or 10 tabs of LSD, like, maybe you would end up just having this crazy experience and being totally out of control. But I think that's the same with anything, isn't it? Like, if you go to a bar and you have 10 to 20 drinks or an excessive amount of alcohol, you're also going to be jumping out a window. So I think that balance is key. I've been really interested in working with psychedelics myself in the waking state, and also in the dream state is a very interesting place to begin, I think, for people who may want to have these experiences but perhaps don't have access to them in their waking life, or they have some fear come up. Because when you're in the dream state or the lucid dream state, you don't need to have fear, because you know that it's a dream. You know that you're in the dream. You have ways of checking you're definitely dreaming. And you also have a little bit more control over your psychedelic trip. So you take psychedelic in the dream, you feel the effects immediately, but you can also shut them off immediately, which is something that you cannot do in the waking state, and there's a lot of psychedelics that last 6 to 12 hours. So if you're not in for the long run, or you're not ready for that full-blown waking life experience, I think exploring that in the lucid dream state could be something really interesting for people.
Yes, absolutely. But I am still kind of amazed that I don't hallucinate. The closest that I have ever come to it really is just we become aware of things we're not normally aware of. So what I was aware of too was that everything has looks like it's sort of breathing. And what I realize is that's the quantum field. That's the flexible, beautiful quantum field. So for me, it just opened me up to all kinds of cool things that I know are real. They're absolutely real for me. And let's use these tools. I also am a big fan of microdosing, and I actually quite frequently microdose cannabis. And I'm quite surprised by the results. And I've done a little bit of microdosing with psilocybin mushrooms, and I'm definitely going to try that again. It is the neatest thing, because it's not, I don't feel like I'm high at all. I'm completely functional, completely rational, but something is different. And I think what it is my brain is firing correctly, is able to, with cannabis, we're also accessing the endocannabinoid system within the body for healing. But it seems to make it so that my brain gets reset to working at fully functioning. And when people get over 60, it's really important. Brain health is super, super important.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that you talked about the quantum field and being able to tap into that. And when I took DMT, which is a very powerful psychedelic, and it was, I was in this, the entire thing was a hallucination, I guess you would call it. And it was very difficult to describe what I was seeing visually, and being able to see, the quantum aspects of our world. And I kind of, when I came back trying to describe it, I called it the universal soup. I felt like I was just in this soup of, this breathing heartbeat of love and ecstasy and everything. It was extremely powerful. So I like that concept of tapping into the quantum side of things. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear about your experiences with microdosing using mushrooms as well. I microdosed for 8 months for some research projects using psilocybin, and I had incredible results. And I love what you said about being able to kind of live fully, like having your full spectrum of experience. I think that's what I experienced as well, is just able to kind of break through some of my barriers with like getting creative, doing like a deeper meditation every morning, eating healthier, just like exercise. I don't know, everything felt slightly more amplified, and I felt slightly more like my true self, it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, I think too, we live in complicated times. For instance, we have technologies that emit electromagnetic frequencies. And so we're being hit with Wi-Fi and cell phones, and actually every device that's electrical, whether it's batteries or we plug it into the wall, emits a field. And so we're living, especially in densely populated areas, we're getting that leakage from all around us. And I think there's never really been studies on what that does and what that doesn't do for you. But the funny thing is that getting back to the lucid practice of microdosing, it really helped me. I'm a very energy sensitive person, which is how I'm able to be in contact with all kinds of different beings that are not physically in front of me, from angels to ETs, to ancestors, to all kinds of things. I've done a lot of research and had a lot of fun with all of this. But I really am so pleased that it's actually helped me. And within the lucid living, I've created a shield, or it's like a sphere that surrounds me and is larger than me, that people can't see, that is helping me to bring in frequencies and codes and things, maybe from the sun or whatever, or intergalactic energy, doesn't matter, and able to repel and take out of my sphere anything that's not good for me. So I've been playing around with that, and it's everything overlaps. So the psychedelics with the lucid living, with the lucid dreaming, with the meditation, but it's all about self-love and self-care too. Would you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think when I think of lucid living, and I've loved all my psychedelic experiences, and I think they've really helped me, as I was saying, like break through some of these boundaries and rewire some negative thought patterns. And kind of like what you're saying, you have your aura, you tap into your energy field, and you can recognize more when there's something negative being brought in, and do this kind of cleansing process. And I think when it really comes to the lucid living, it's integrating that into our waking practice, and how can we tap into these altered states without even using psychedelics? How can we continue living at that kind of high level frequency, high energy state without the psychedelics, without microdosing? And I think that's the goal that we aim for when using psychedelics, is kind of tapping in, tuning in, and then that integration process is so important. And for me, that integration process, the best place to do that is in the dream state, where we can, connect these different parts of the brain that wouldn't usually connect and talk when we're awake. And I'm very interested in that, and very interested in, mindset as well. And the placebo effect of things, I think, is very powerful too. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend recently who was talking about being in a microdosing study. And they were doing this study for 3 months, doing the, 1 day on, 2 days off kind of procedure, and was saying that they were feeling it. They were feeling these underlying kind of psychedelic effects slightly, and just really tapped into that creative, really felt empowered, and they were loving it. And they're like, wow, microdoses, they're incredible. And then after the 3 months, they found out at the end of the study, they were in the placebo group. And that was just like mind-blowing for them, that they were doing it themselves. How empowering is that, So I think for people interested in the microdosing, it's also interesting to maybe even try and do a kind of placebo test on yourself as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, the benefit of what I got out of it is that what I learned and what I experienced during the trip, I'll call it a trip, I don't know what you want to call it. And this was not microdosing, this was taking actually a fairly good amount. Is it never left me. It never left me. I just, that calm knowing and awareness that I had from that, but then I'm able to take that. If I know that that is real and that I experience that from that, then what can I do even on a daily basis without it, which is what you're saying, which is a placebo effect. And I use a placebo effect a lot. I'll make myself a nice cup of tea, and I'll tell myself what I expect from that tea and what's going to happen. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Our minds are, once we bust out of the control that we're all born into a construct, we're born into a belief system, and we form these schemas very early on in life that are then added and added. But once we break out of that, and that's what the awakening process, I believe, is that we start to realize that not everything we're told is real, and a lot of what we're told isn't real is real. So it's really funny. I go into a library and there's all this nonfiction and all this fiction, and I think it should be switch the labels, switch the labels. So once my mind was able to detox and form connections that it hadn't maybe ever used, then I get to go out and play in the awakened or even a lucid reality of life, and bring these things in. And so and it's just so great to also find out that we're not crazy, because there's a lot of pressure, because I would say my biggest challenge is that I make some people feel uncomfortable because I shake up their schemas, of course, because I'm outside of the box. But it's just such I don't know, life is so wonderful, amazing. There's so much we can do. We just need to wake up and take some little chances and try something new and see what happens. And I'm so excited about the work you're doing, because you're bringing, basically, it's like we're at the point now where we're mainstreaming the fringe. So we're bringing in these fringe ideas and research and different things. We're bringing it to the mainstream, and we're saying, hey, we're basically also, another word for us is map makers. We go out, we experiment, and we test out what's going on and what's safe and what's not safe. And we report back to people who are kind of not that brave to want to go, into these other realities. And let them know that there's healing here. There's absolute valid healing here.
Yeah, and I think it's important to do exactly what you're doing and kind of shake people up a little bit. And get them to question, what is that fear and what's it stemming from? And I think for me, being able to take those risks and overcome that fear stem from me thinking on that, really sitting on that question and thinking, what's scarier, to take a risk or to never take the risk and never know? I think the never knowing is much more scary for me, like just never exploring and being constantly stuck in one place, and never really knowing or realizing my full potential or reaching that. I think that's terrifying, and so that kind of drives me to try it out. Like what's the worst that can happen if you think about someone else's ideas, or if something's working for someone else? What can it do for me? If someone's enjoying one type of healing, great, I want to try it. I want to see how can that improve my life. And you might try it and you might think, this is not for me. But I think what it is that a lot of people get so scared that they get stuck in that one mindset, one thing, only this is it. Like, and that happens to a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier with medication. It's just like, no, just medication, don't need anything else. Like, why not try both though? Why not try medication and coaching, or medication and dreaming, medication and psychedelics? Why does it have to be one idea? Why can't it be loads of little snippets of things? And I love that, you're exploring that. And it's great to connect with another person, as you said, and we don't feel as crazy that way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there seems to be the one thing that is an instant dismissal is to call somebody crazy. As soon as we cast someone into the role of being a crazy person, what happens is stigma takes over, and people are not open to learning from people with different realities or with different experiences. And by shutting that down, it's, I think, a disservice to all of us. Now, I do understand that there might be a place for the mental health industry. There might be certain situations that require, medical help, and I do understand that. But I think for most of us, again, getting back to self-love, and people are pretty okay with, doing the selfie kind of self-love. But what about the self-love that says, I am going to be in charge of my mental health. I am going to take back my power. I am going to discipline myself to not eat certain food-like substances that I know cause me anxiety, I know cause me depression. Taking charge. When we have a child that we love very much, we don't let them do what they want. We make sure they eat some vegetables. We make sure they get adequate sleep. So what about reaching inside? And so I wanted to know what you think about using lucid living to do that, to reach inside and to become the parent to our child, to become, find a greater level of self-love, expand even our concept of what love is, so that we can have an amazing, wonderful life.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love that analogy of thinking of, you wouldn't do this to a child. And I think that's a great way to think of how you treat yourselves. And I read something recently, or someone was writing, a post or something like that, and said, list the first thing that comes to your mind in what you love. And, people are naming all these things. And then they wrote, how long would it take you to list yourself? How long would it take you to say that you love yourself? And that's so important. And we're so ready to say, like, we love other people and we love other things. And sometimes we just forget about that love that we need to give for ourselves. And it kind of reminds me of, the airplane situation where it's like you're supposed to do your own mask and your own stuff and make sure you're safe before you start helping other people. And I think that's the same with love, isn't it? It's if you don't love yourself, and if you're not secure in your health and your well-being and your mindset, how are you affecting other people? I know that when I'm taking care of myself really well, I can just connect better with other people. I can help people more. I have more energy to give, and then I know I'm really helping someone else. If you're drained, if you're tired, if you don't know who you are, how can you make that connection with other people?
I agree 100%. And I just wanted to touch one more time a little bit on the psychedelics. After listening to you talk a bit about it, I'm wondering what you think of this idea. It's almost like a psychedelic experience gives us the experience of breaking out of the norm or the mainstream, and it gives us a little experience with being able to be lucid, and whether we're dreaming or awake, and then we can then run with that. So I just wanted to just touch on that one more time and see if that's your if I'm understanding you correctly, that it's another tool, not the only tool, but another tool to help us open our minds so that then we can realize that we can step out. And is that sort of your take on it, rather than doing it because it's fun?
Definitely, yeah. And I I've had plenty of very, very fun psychedelic experiences. I wouldn't say it's not fun at all. I think it's one of the funnest things that I've ever done. But yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head with just, expand your mind, make some new connections, see something from a different perspective. And that's something huge that came up in my research with working through depression, how people are using the lucid state, the altered state, to work through depression, mitigating depression or alleviating some anxiety. One thing that came out of it from every single participant was that they had a perspective shift. They were able to see something in a different light, in a different way than they were before. And that's what excites me. It's stepping into something with an open mind and open heart, and seeing how does that change how we think, and not just being, stuck in that box. No one wants to be stuck in the box. There's no room for expansion, and we know we can expand so far and wide and have all these incredible insights. So yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Oh, good. This also plays a little bit into lifestyle. So I'm a firm believer that what we consume, well, actually anything we're exposed to, from our personal care products to the foods or food-like substances we eat, to there's so many things, our bodies are so sensitive and they pick up on so much stuff. And so I wanted to know your thoughts on the relationship between diet and lucid living, and also being able to hold these new frequencies that make our life so magical.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic right now, and I think it's, I've been following a lot of people who are approaching food from different ends of the spectrum. Some people are now, only eating meat. They don't touch anything else, like no vegetables, nothing else. Some people are going vegan really hard, and they've thrown meat out the window. It's a really interesting time, and people are exploring, being gluten-free, being dairy-free, and these things that I don't think were being explored not that long ago. And for me, I think food massively impacts my waking life and my dream life. If I'm eating clean, if I'm, able to kind of tap into that energetic space and see how my body is reacting to different foods, I feel differently. And we, focus so much on nutrition. I think the key thing for me has been, being able to be in a space where I can listen to my body. I can listen to what does my body need, as far as following one particular diet or one thing that another person does is kind of similar as the psychedelic experience, right? It's like trying something out and tweaking things, and that can have a huge impact on our mental health as well, and our mindset, how energized we feel, how alive we feel. I would love to know more about your experience, because I know you went through massive weight loss, right? And so you've explored food a lot and what works for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to say that I don't believe there's any one diet for everybody. And I'll give you an example. If you take people who are Inuit people who have lived off of, seafood and basically a high protein, high fat diet, you put them on a tropical diet, they would get really sick.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
have a tropical person who's been living on tons of fruits, very high fructose from natural sources, and put them on an Inuit diet, they might not feel so good. And so I never tell people what to eat, except I tell them to eat real food, clean food. So if you're going to eat meat, get some grass-fed, get some free-range animals that have been raised with love.
Yeah.
And if you're going to eat vegetables, same thing.
Yeah.
It's been grown natural and as chemical-free as possible, and that's grown by even locally. And there's just so much. I won't make this about food too much, but I just don't believe there's any one diet. So I myself have tried several different eating programs, and what I need is real food. I have to tell you, as soon as I eliminated food-like substances, my life changed. And it didn't change overnight. First of all, I was terribly addicted. Terribly addicted to that quick energy rush to keep going, and caffeine and stuff to keep going. But self-love and being in touch, and this is where the lucid living and the lucid dreaming is so important, because then we can go inside ourselves and we can, how is my body feeling? How did I feel after I had a cup of coffee? How do I feel when I'm around certain people? How do I feel when I'm on the computer too long, or been on my phone too long? It's being able to tap in and get that feedback so we can self-regulate. But I also believe it helps us to hold the new frequencies. I believe we are ascending, we're changing into something else, some kind of new kind of thing that we've never been before. And I embrace it because I love adventure. But so as far as eating, it's about clean eating and recognizing too that that food-like substances are part of a whole beast mechanism that is everything what's wrong with this world. So if we want that to go away and more organic and grass-fed and beautiful stuff to be available, we got to stop creating the demand that's creating the supply of those things. So I just got to tell you, once your mind has been opened, oh my gosh, you can run in so many different directions. There are so many ways to get better. I tell people it's about as hard as falling out of bed to get better. We just got to find what works for us. And that's why I'm so excited about your work. And I'm wondering if it would be okay now for us to go into your lucid dreaming retreat that's coming up April 2020. And you're going to be hosting it with your friend and very renowned author, David J. Brown. Can you tell us about that? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to come.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. More than happy to share. Yeah, as you said, it's going to be a 3-day, 2-night lucid dreaming retreat held here in Boulder, Colorado. It's in this beautiful little kind of off the side converted healing center called Peaceful Meadow, where they only hold retreats for people doing things like energetic work, and they want to keep that vibrational space really clean and, high level. So we're going to just basically be covering how to navigate the dream space, how you can kind of uncover and unleash your full potential through lucid dream work. We've already got the powerful techniques. We've already tried and tested these things. So rather than, taking a really long time to work out what you want to do, these are like fast action, sometimes even instant results, where you're receiving insights, you're uncovering new things about yourselves, and you're already making changes before you even wake up. So it's going to be a very, very powerful weekend where we really teach, what it means to dream deeply and what it means to live lucidly and beyond. We want to create this kind of mastermind group of people who attend here to still stay connected after the retreat, to still keep that, momentum going. So I'm really excited to meet everyone who comes, but it is, limited space. Obviously, we're renting out a place there. So I would really advise people to book as soon as possible. And they can do that via my website, which is my name, lanasackwild.com/dreamingwideawake. So the retreat is Dreaming Wide Awake Retreat.
Fantastic. Yeah, the links will be below, everybody. So please do check out the links and do contact Lana. I wanted to say what I love about what you just said about the retreat is you're not only going to give skills and techniques, you're also offering mentorship, it sounds like, and then there's lots of time to actually practice and experience the things that you're talking about. And then the takeaway from that, besides the skills and everything, is the community, which continues on. How wonderful is that?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. And yeah, exactly as you said, it's going to be, whether you're a beginner and you've never had a lucid dream, or whether you're advanced and you want a more, coaching and direct something to, push yourself to that next stage. All are welcome. And yeah, we'll be going through techniques and the background and the science of lucid dreaming, but also really actually having the experience whilst we're there, getting lucid, doing that deep healing work, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, and also doing some kind of fun stuff, exploring like telepathy, shared dreams, all these kind of interesting magic for nightmares and spiritual practice, and that kind of interesting stuff too. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun-filled weekend.
It sounds fantastic. Now I'm wondering what kind of people might want to come to this. People who are having, who want to do, go inward and do self-exploration. It sounds to me like it would be very helpful for people with mental health issues. It sounds to me like it would be very good for people that are outside of the box and are looking for healing modalities that are also outside of the box. Because I had talked earlier, when you go to see a helping practitioner who they themselves are not awakened or they themselves have not been there, it's a whole different ballgame than when you find people that are your kindred spirits. You can become vulnerable with them, which is a great place to facilitate healing. So I'm really excited about this retreat, and yeah, just very excited. April 2020, that's going to come up fast, so folks should probably contact you soon on that to get a space, eh?
Yeah, I mean, we have an application page because, as we said, the community is so important. But honestly, the application, the interview is just to hear about, why do you want to come? What are your goals? And how can we get you there? That's it. It's not this intensive interview. Really, we just want to make sure we have the right group of people there and that you're coming for the right reasons, and that will support you in every way possible. So yeah, I really encourage anyone who's, on this edge of what we've been talking about and feels that push of like, yeah, I do want to live a healthier, wealthier, more meaningful and more purposeful life, whether they have a problem that they know of, or they're more just in that box of like, I want to take it further, I want to expand, I want to dive deeper. They're so welcome to join, and we look forward to hearing from them.
Wonderful. It also sounds to me like it would sort of supercharge law of attraction type experiences, because when you're using parts of our minds or our energy and our brains and all of that properly, I think then, and also using the lucid practices that you're going to teach us, would really, really help people to get more of what they want out of life, see more opportunities that they've been missing. Would you agree that it would kind of supercharge that type of law of attraction type manifesting as well?
Totally. Yeah, it's a very powerful and empowering experience. And I think it is, yeah, exactly that law of attraction, getting those high energy levels, being in that kind of almost altered state and remaining there. And I think something that's really empowering about this work is that it's within you. We dream every night, sometimes multiple times, and we're teaching techniques for you to take with you, to have for the rest of your life. And whether you want to push forward and work with a coach, which I also highly recommend. You know, it's great to have guidance on these things, but it's also something that you can keep with you and do. You know, you don't need to visit a doctor to have a lucid dream. You need to just take a 20-minute nap sometimes. So
Perfect.
Very accessible. It's so much more accessible than people know.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds so fantastic. So I'm wondering, you have a few places where we can find you. You mentioned your website, which is www.lanasackwild.com. You're also on Facebook, and you're also on Instagram. And we'll put the email link also below. And is there anything else that you would like to tell folks about what you do or about the retreat or any?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to connect with anyone who's interested in these fields. The same with you, Karen. You know, I love speaking to anyone who's just excited to explore, excited to master their lives, has that drive for success and healing and really making the most of this experience, as crazy as it is. And I love talking and chatting with people and connecting. So please don't feel nervous or hesitate to reach out to me. And I know that David and I were actually going to do a live Q&A. I don't know if it's going to be Facebook Live or Instagram Live, but we're going to do a live Q&A on lucid dreams on December 2nd at 7 p.m. MT as well. So if you want to submit any questions and things like that via the email link, that would be amazing, and we can answer those on our live show as well.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, I don't have, is there a link to that, or would it just be through, or you would maybe just let people know? Is there a place they can subscribe to you?
Yeah, if they go on my website and scroll to the bottom, there's a little subscription box where they can enter their email address, put their name. There's also, you know, some contact boxes there if they just want to send a message through Facebook or Instagram or whatever. That's all fine. So
wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, because it's important to be able to find you. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you. We have a couple more minutes. What is your favorite lucid experience that you personally have had? Your very favorite that you want to share?
That's such a great question. Let me think about that. It's so hard to pick a favorite experience, but I think I wrote about one of my favorite experiences recently, so that one's kind of fresh in my mind. But it was this experience where I woke up and I was on this beach, and I was surrounded by this kind of pack of dogs, or they came up behind me, and they were trying to communicate with me. I knew they were trying to communicate with me. And there was a kind of leader of the pack, this kind of wolf dog, and he was nudging me, and we all sat in this circle. And I was very lucid at this point, because this is not a usual human to dog interaction. So we were sitting in the circle, and we all kind of, this energetic field forms between us, and I can hear this kind of buzzing and feel this just like ecstasy running through my body is the best way to describe it. And we're at the beach, and we have this experience, and then this dog kind of like just like nods his head and kind of pushes me to go into the water. So I start walking into the water, into the sea, and I'm greeted by these whales. And there's all these huge whales, right, swimming out in the ocean. And there's a couple of baby whales, and I'm in the water, and I'm lucid, so I'm aware that, you know, you can breathe underwater now. Like, we're not limited by our everyday waking experience of having to breathe air and everything like that. And I partake in this kind of synchronized dance with these whales, and they're like, fantastic, you know, waving their tails out the water, and I'm following them. And then we kind of finish up this dance, and I'm exhausted. A sea lion or seal swims over to me.
Stop you for a second,
and he's
because cut out a little bit. So could you just repeat that last little bit again for us?
Now?
Sorry, it's Skype. I don't know why it's freezing up on us. I just wanted you to just, you're in the water, you're in the whales, and you're doing a dance, and then Skype started to screw up a bit. So I just wondered if you could just from there on.
Sure. Yeah. So I finish up this dance, and I'm exhausted, actually, just feeling like so tired out. And this kind of sea lion or seal comes over and offers their back for me to just kind of get onto, and they're all blubbery and soft and warm, and we're in the sun, and I'm just lying on the back of this seal or sea lion, and I can just feel the sun on my body, and it's so soft and warm and squishy, and I'm just in this like ecstasis kind of state of like wonder and amazement at the beauty of all this, and being able to connect to animals as well, and different. I think that's something that I really love doing in the lucid dream state, is surpassing the kind of waking life restrictions, and being able to breathe underwater, being able to change species, being able to connect with animals, being able to touch into that connection with nature. Those are some of my favorite lucid dreams.
So it's like having I don't know if you've ever watched Star Trek, but they have this thing called the hollow suite. So it's like having your own hollow suite within to spend time in. That's a fantastic experience. So beautiful. I think a lot of people can really relate to that.
Yeah. How about you, Karen? Have you been able to experience the lucid dream state much?
Yes, I'm actually love it so much. I spent a lot of time there. And one of my very favorite things to do, I'll tell you, the first time I did it, I was actually beside a river, lying on a nice big warm rock in the sun. This is without lucid dreaming. This is just what was physically going on. I laid on my back and I looked up and I saw an eagle. Yeah. And somehow I was able to see things from the eagle's viewpoint. So I was able to see myself down on the rock. I was able to see the river and the trees, and I was able to fly, and it was so fabulous. So I don't know, maybe a couple times a year I practice switching places. I don't even think we switch places. I'm not even sure how it happens, but I'm able to see things from the animal's perspective. And another time I did it with my cat, and she was underneath the bed, and it was nighttime and it was dark, and I wanted to see what she was seeing. And all of a sudden it just went flash, and I was seeing what she saw. And you know, I couldn't believe it. She was chasing a spider, and what I didn't realize is that cats and animals see different wavelengths that we don't see. And spiders actually have these kind of like little strips on them and spots on them that only cats can see. And when their eyes pick up the light and reflect it back, it highlights these bits on the spider. And I never knew that before. So then after I realized all that, I came back to myself. I said, here, Katie, and I went, oh my God, that was the most amazing adventure. So yes, I also love lucid living and lucid dreaming. And I have a very active imagination, and it takes almost nothing for me to be wide awake, sitting in a chair, and I'm gone. And my eyes are open, everything, but I'm on this amazing adventure. And that's without using anything. That's just on my own receiver wavelengths that I use. So
yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about, you know, being able to be in kind of 2 or even 3 different spots of consciousness at the same time. I've been using that a lot recently to actually help with my yoga practice. You know, different poses like crow pose or side crow, and being able to be in the dream, I can see me doing it. I can have another consciousness to see from an outside. I can move myself around, and that, you know, doing that and being able to see again from different perspectives and then integrating that back has been huge in being able to even just improve skills and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's so limitless.
It really is limitless. And we're getting close to the end now, so I want to just give you a chance if there's anything else you want to tell folks or you want to say. And I'm wondering, too, if maybe one day you might like to come back, because we could fill a whole show just talking about our lucid living experiences and how we've made them work for us, too. So
yeah,
would you like to come back another time and we'll talk?
I would absolutely love that. And yeah, if, listeners want to contact you as well, or we can come back and maybe explore other people's experiences of what they tried or what they want to know and get out of that. Sure. And do, yeah, I'm sure we could fill many shows with all the but that would be wonderful. I would love that, Karen.
Oh, good. So is there any closing remarks you want to make, or just that? I want to remind everyone about the retreat, April 2020, and the links will be below.
Yeah, that retreat, that weekend. So April 12th is actually International Lucid Dreaming Day. So we're going to finish on that huge celebration internationally. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be tuning in and getting lucid all over the world that day. So that's something to be excited about. And yeah, it really hasn't been that long since lucid dreaming was even scientifically proven. But maybe a little over 40 years. So this is really cutting edge stuff. And if you're someone who wants to get involved, we always need more researchers, more people to see from different angles and explore this. So I really encourage people to whether you can come to the retreat and do it as a group, or whether it's something you want to try yourselves, I can't encourage it enough.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining me on the Quantum Guide Show, Lana. I appreciate you being here so much. I appreciate your work. You're a lovely person. It's been great to get to know you a little bit, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Surrendering to endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play. It's okay.